Tilted scales of justice. Employer opposition, when combined with the department's unlawful credibility determinations, routinely result in dismissals in direct violation of the 14th Amendment, a federal injunction, state law, and governing rules and procedures. What are the tilted scales? They represent conflict between employees and employers before the Illinois Department of Human Rights. When it comes to employees, they typically lack legal training. They have restricted access to evidence, and more significantly, there is no judicial review for the department's decision. On the other side, employers have experienced legal representation, and based on that, have department process mastery and relationships, and significantly, evidence control. Simply put, the scales of justice are tilted. The department routinely dismisses claims based solely on employer opposition, contravening governing statutes, administrative rules, and mandated procedures. 2 decades of dismissals. The department's track record from 2001 through 2024. As seen in the graphic below, approximately 1,067 claims are dismissed for lack of substantial evidence annually, as compared to 223 claims that have a substantial evidence finding. What this means is that more than 80% of claims are dismissed on prohibited credibility grounds, and sustained charges are the rare exception. Unreviewable dismissals and the illusion of recourse. This begins with the next department complaint filed by an employee. If the complaint is viable, it's served on the employer. Most employers respond, but it is this response that triggers the deprivation of the employee's due process rights. How the employer responds is not material, as long as the response opposes the employee's complaint. Once both parties have provided facts and evidence, it typically results in department dismissal based on a credibility determination. More than 80% of the time, the department determines the employer evidence is more credible than that of the employee. Both the employer response and the department dismissal act together to deny the employees their due process rights. After dismissal, the employee has 2 paths: circuit court, or the more common path, the Illinois Human Rights Commission. The commission typically adopts the department's dismissal without a hearing. Significantly, when the commission does not hold a hearing, it must rely on the department's dismissal report. After the commission's decision, the employee has the option for judicial review. The appellate court routinely affirms the commission's decision. Section 8-111, subparagraph B, subparagraph 1 of the Illinois Human Rights Act limits judicial review to the commission's decision. Department errors are shielded from legal scrutiny. The process begins again with the next department complaint. Point of process failure. Once a charge is served, if the parties do not settle, they enter the department's charge investigation process. It's during this time that employer and employee evidence are obtained. The department collects evidence through interviews, documents, and may hold a fact-finding conference. This process results in the most significant consideration during the charge investigation, namely the credibility determination. Significantly, the department is prohibited from weighing conflicting evidence, evaluating truthfulness, resolving factual disputes, and deciding who is more believable. Why is this important? Because in the face of conflicting evidence, the parties must have a commission hearing. The department's credibility determination restriction timeline. It began in 2001 with the Northern District of Illinois' decision in Cooper v. Salazar. There, the department was permanently enjoined from making credibility determinations unless the employee was allowed to both confront and cross-examine employer witnesses and documents. In 2005, the Illinois General Assembly enacted Public Act 94-0146, effective July 8th of that year. There, the Illinois General Assembly removed the credibility language from Section 7A-102, subparagraph D, subparagraph 2 of the Illinois Human Rights Act. In 2007, Title 56 of the Illinois Administration Code, Section 2520.430, subparagraph F, and its associated regulation restrict the department from making credibility determinations. Today, in 2025, the department continues to make credibility determinations despite federal and statutory restrictions. Credibility notice procedure and legal restrictions. Attached is a copy of the credibility notice. The notice incorporates the language from Cooper v. Salazar at paragraph 33, directing the department to cease permanently from relying on credibility determinations made without affording the rights of confrontation and cross-examination to complainants. Additionally, the federal court let the department determine a due process procedure, and the credibility notice is that procedure. Significantly, the credibility notice defines two categories of conflicting evidence: source, statements made by a person with firsthand knowledge, and type, business records. It also shows how conflicting evidence specifically connects to substantial evidence as generally defined by the Illinois Human Rights Act at Section 7A-102, subparagraph D, subparagraph 2. And lastly, the notice requires the department to make a substantial evidence finding when conflicting evidence arises based on the defined categories. Finally, despite a federal injunction, statutory amendments, administrative rules, and its own procedure, the department continues to dismiss charges based on credibility determinations. Many case profiles. Case A. Direct conflicts between the parties were ignored. The claims were dismissed twice in 18 months. Case B, and the most common fact pattern: conflicting statements, department dismissal, no objective commission review, Rule 23E affirmance on judicial review. And finally, Case C, 100+ documentary exhibits and emails, conflicting evidence, claims dismissed after 18 to 24 months. This reveals the most common element is that the department regularly dismisses claims in the face of conflicting evidence and in violation of its own procedure. A federal class action is needed based on the following. Number 1. Joint conduct produces unlawful dismissals. The department's unlawful credibility determinations in conjunction with and triggered by employer opposition substantially assist employers in evading accountability. Number 2. Violation of settled law. Cooper v. Salazar, a permanent federal injunction enacted in 2001, restricted the department's use of credibility determinations. Public Act 94-0146, enacted by the Illinois General Assembly in 2005, removed credibility language from the Illinois Human Rights Act. The Illinois Admin Code and regulation modifications in 2007 prohibit the department from making credibility determinations. Number 3, systemic harm. Thousands denied hearings and independent review for more than 2 decades. The closed-loop process shields department actions from judicial scrutiny. And finally, Section 4, federal questions and remedy. Ongoing violations of the due process and equal protection clauses, injunctive relief and oversight to halt unlawful dismissals, economic remedy under Restatement Second of Torts, Section 876, subparagraph B, for knowing and substantial assistance. And finally, the next steps. Partnership discussions to review evidence and frame federal impact litigation.